I'm here.
Half the battle.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another session of Pulaski County Fiscal Court. Glad everyone is here. As our usual routine here, we'll do a moment of silence, and then I'm going to ask Ms. Beverly Haynes, our 911 director, to do our Pledge of Allegiance. But does anyone got any concerns, prior requests, thoughts that we should bring before the council this morning? If not, if everyone, let's just take a moment of silence first, and then we'll ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. If everyone please stand.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business would be to approve the minutes from January 23rd meeting. I think we have a copy in front of everyone. If there's any discussion, changes, amendments to those.
Motion to approve minutes.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Strunk seconds that motion. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They will stand as read. Thank you. First, new business, I'm going to bring up some road additions and removal. We have Summer Hill Tower Drive that I need to ask a couple of magistrates to go look at as our process.
I will.
Mr. Strunk, Mr. Wilson agrees to do that. I think that's all we need on that one. And also, we have Lake Ridge Road. I need a motion to ask for a public hearing to post it to bring it into the county road system. I think the magistrates have already looked at it. We just need to do a public hearing.
Motion to do a public hearing?
Mr. Strunk makes a motion, and Mr. Turpin seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Moving on to personnel, I have a request this morning for a motion to promote Sandra Ramsey. She's the girl we hired last year as a tax clerk in the occupational tax office. The occupational tax office is doing a tremendous job this year. Our collections are up. We're running ahead of what we have been. So appreciate all the hard work they're doing. They're handling a lot of money and doing a good job at it, keeping everything straight, and everything is very secure. I'm following them almost weekly. They're getting me a report out, so I'm going to ask to promote her. She's tax clerk now, and I'm asking the next position above that would be assistant tax administrator, and I'm asking for a motion to promote her to that position.
Motion.
Mr. Strunk makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wilson seconds. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item would be to approve a resolution to spend the flex money.
Motion.
Second.
It's a resolution adopting and approving the execution of the rural secondary program agreement between Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We do them yearly. It's for $460,000. All the roads have been approved on that list, and we just need a resolution, and I have a motion from someone. Did we get that in the minutes?
Strong.
All right, and do I have a second?
Rachel.
Mr. Renshaw. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I thought we would spend the money. Also I got an email from the state yesterday, and Pulaski County is staying the same for next year. We still get our $460,000 for a year 25. And I'm glad of that, because I'm a little bit surprised. They sent me a list of all the counties, and about half the counties went down 30 or 40%, and we stayed the same. So nobody increased, but we did stay the same. So we'll have to be thinking about some road lists for next year of about $460,000 for the county in flex money. Next item is Mr. Chris Jones. He's going to present to us some funding possibilities, and it doesn't include the county, but we do have to have an ordinance, and he wants to present to us on some items. I think everybody has a printout in front of them that sort of explains what we're asked to do here. Chris?
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Jones, and I am Vice President and manager of a third-party program administration entity called Energize Kentucky. And I see you have the packets there. We provided a PowerPoint that describes what this is, along with kind of the one-pager with kind of facts. So this kind of one-pager does a pretty good job of laying this out. But if you haven't heard of it, which I'll assume that was the case before just very recent, what this is really called special assessment financing across the country. There does have to be state enabling legislation passed to where then a county government can pass an ordinance to allow the private property owner to apply for this type of financing for just their property. And right now about 40 of the 50 states across the country have passed this type of legislation. Ohio was like one of the first dozen states that passed it. Kentucky General Assembly passed it in 2015, so it's technically referred to as the EPAD Act of 2015. Do want to clarify there are some acronyms, as a lot of the stuff kind of gets into acronyms, but so it's known as PACE, P-A-C-E financing around the country, and we refer to it generally here as well. The EPAD stands for an Energy Project Assessment District, and so that's what the Kentucky state legislation did term, again, really the PACE district. Each state calls it something different. Like in Ohio, they call it an Energy Special Improvement District. Tennessee calls it something a little different. But just generically speaking here, it is an EPAD or a PACE district. So again, this is something that's been around in the state since 2015. Our organization, again, just to make sure everybody understands the role, so we administrate this on behalf of the local government. And so, to date, we have about 25 to 30, local governments, be it, counties, cities can do it, but this works a lot more efficient at the county level, because once the ordinance is passed at the county level, then the entire county becomes eligible for the commercial property owners. And that's probably another point to make, is that this is only for commercial property owners. We're not talking about single family residential. So the whole gamut of commercial, it can actually be multi-family residential, so like, apartment complexes, the typical commercial property, industrial, even nonprofits. So if there was a house of worship that wanted to apply and get financing for their energy efficiency improvements, then they could do that as well. So hopefully that gives a little bit of background with regards to kind of what it is. In this case, I think from a timing, just a point is that why we're here today is that we have had inquiries from the local commercial property owners, and one in particular, from an ironic timing perspective, is Bosch Berries had reached out a couple months ago and was inquiring about this, and that's kind of the timing on why we're here today with regards to at least considering an ordinance here in the upcoming weeks with regards to their particular property. So I'm going to stop and maybe questions if you've had time to look through the materials.
I spent the weekend looking at it, but I want to hear your presentation before I start asking questions.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Did you have questions in, or you want me to?
Not now. I wait to the end of your presentation.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So let me just kind of get into the details of then how this does work and what the why the county government is involved and what they're not involved with. So So what would happen here is that where county government passes this EPAT ordinance, it then does allow the private property owner to apply through Energize Kentucky. So in the packet that we had, we have an EPAT ordinance. There is an interlocal agreement, just so it's very clear on who's doing what. But basically, after the ordinance is passed, then Energize Kentucky would be assigned at no cost the administrative, and so we work then with the private property owner who's wanting to apply for the financing. We work with the private PACE lenders who are out there. Those private PACE lenders are not the traditional banks, not the central banks or the Fifth Third banks of the world, but they're specialties. But in our world, we know them very well. So again, private property owner, private lender, private contractor, so whoever the contractor of record. And again, this is for energy efficiency, renewable energy or water efficiency types of improvements on the commercial property. And then there's private legal counsel that does provide the legal documents for each of the transactions. So we are kind of the common denominator that works to make this kind of happen. And then so once that ordinance does get passed, if the property owner like a Bosch Berries does want to move forward, then we would come back in front of the fiscal court here for a special assessment request from that property owner. And so that's why you, as the local, the county government, because you and the city throughout the state are the only ones that have special assessment, obviously under the property taxing authority. So that is why we are here, is because it's all about this special assessment that then the benefit to the property owners that they're able to access long-term financing for their property. And long-term generally would go out 20, 25 years. It can't exceed what we refer to as the useful life of the improvements, but on most of the new construction or kind of gut rehab type of properties, you're looking at things like heating and cooling systems, windows, roofing. Those are kind of the typical lighting. Those are the typical types of improvements. But in general, this is accessing 20 to 25 year term financing. And so because of that special assessment, these private PACE lenders will provide that long-term financing. To the property owner, because that term is stretched, it's a benefit to them because they are trying to fill their capital stack on their developments. And so that's also kind of the case here in the Bosch Berries situation. So I'll kind of pause there. I'm sure there's questions. So
It's great that you're here today coincide with the announcement yesterday from the governor's office that Bosch Berries are now in Pulaski County officially. With the governor announced yesterday that it was like a $49 million investment in the county. We do get some jobs out of that, so we're very appreciative of them taking up what could have been a massive failure on the previous owner. So now we do have 1 million strawberry plants out there growing, and so it will help our economy, so hopefully we will go forward. And the way I understand you, they are one of the clients that are asking for funding through this ordinance, possible funding anyway. On the assessments, if they're assessed at 40 million or whatever, how much lending do you have a percentage of the lending that's possible there?
Yeah,
that they'll ask your private investors?
Yeah, good question. So again, that is right. It is the private, funders or private investors. So again, as the program administrator, we're not providing the actual funding, nor is the county providing any funding to this. So I think that's probably 2 or 3, bullet points I want to make sure. So there is no monies from the county that's being asked. All the, funding is private. Any of the financing fees or any of that type of thing is all paid by the property owner. County pays nothing. Because of the special assessment repayment mechanism, the county also, and this is all clear in the legal documents, but the county is never at risk should this go into a default or foreclosure type of property. The special assessment, should it become unpaid and delinquent, would just get on the normal property tax lien sale system. What the reality is on that is because on each one of these projects, we do have to have a written consent of the mortgage lender, so that is part of the application process where the property owner comes forward. The reality is the mortgage holder would step up and pay any governmental taxes that would go into arrears, so they could control any, foreclosure if you're looking at all the kind of worst case possibilities. But again, the county is never at risk for having to, repay a special assessment that would go, into delinquency. To answer your question then directly, Judge, is so what happens on this, and I'm just going to use round numbers, but if the property has an appraised value of $10 million, these private PACE lenders will fund up to 25% of that appraised value number. So in the case of a $10 million property, then $2.5 million is what PACE funding could be applied to, again, for energy efficiency, renewable energy, or water conservation type of improvements. And then that would get set on a, generally, again, a 20 to 25 year term. And to the property owner, they're just paying the special assessment.
Do you have any surrounding counties or counties that are using this now?
We do, yeah. So really, from a geographical closeness, Boyle County and Lincoln County have passed this. All the major metro areas, so Lexington, Louisville, and so forth. I would kind of point to Woodford County as far as like really knowing the fine details. Actually, Woodford County's judge executive was the state sponsor when he was a representative back in 2015 to the EPAD bill, and we've used it, there 2 or 3 times. Their county attorney knows the details, really well. But we have EPADs and everywhere from the east to like Boyd County and Morgan County, all the way. I'm going to McCracken County this afternoon actually for a project approval. So it's really all through the state.
That's all I have.
Just to summarize it, if this is like, I know this is a commercial program, but just to summarize it so people can understand, it's like a home equity loan on a normal home. You can't get it for this program. I'm just trying to simplify it.
Go ahead, yeah.
It's like a home equity loan on somebody's house, and then they're financing that home equity loan, but instead of making a monthly payment, they're making one payment at the end of each year, correct?
That is correct. That's a pretty good analogy as
I
well.
wanted to.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
So everybody
analogy.
has a chance to understand what this is.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
You're currently, according to your website, you have 14 counties signed up underneath this program, correct?
We need to update our map. Yeah, we have well over 20. We probably have about 25 currently.
Okay, and then 13 projects ongoing.
We funded more than 13 projects.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just
Those
looking-
are just kind of representative on the website.
I'm just looking at what your website's
Sure.
saying.
Yep, understand.
Is there, I know you want to be our administrator, so I'm looking at this as a kind of like interview process. Are you the only company out there doing this administration process?
We are, actually, yeah.
Okay.
We are, yeah.
Let's see, I already talked about that.
And I like that with regards to interview. And again, we can point you to, Woodford County and Lexington and Louisville. Yeah, we do a pretty good job at it, I would tell you. But yes, you can certainly reach out to any of those for sure.
So the way this program works too is if somebody took out a 30-year loan, they sold that property before that loan's paid up.
Mm-hmm.
That lien has to be paid before, at the time of the property being sold? Or I thought I saw somewhere that the new owners can continue it?
Yeah, so the very good question there. So it's a couple things. So in your scenario where there's a 30-year term, for the new owner, it would legally, it will cleanly stay with the property to the new owner. But if the seller and the buyer at that point in time, if they want to negotiate and prepay it, then that is also an option as well. But unless it's prepaid, yeah, it would only exhaust off the property, on a prepayment or the final 30-year, payment.
And I read that if they prepaid, it's penalties. What kind of penalties is that?
Yeah, so, as most any loan, I believe, has a prepayment premium to it. The kind of the standard industry with the PACE prepayments are in a tiered fashion. So in the first 5 years, typically it's a 3 to 5% prepayment. At year 6, it tiers down to like 1 to 3%, and then at year 11, typically tiers to 0 to 1%. But that is a fully negotiable point from the property owner and the private PACE lender on how that gets adjusted. And so I have seen lower prepayment amounts. It might increase the interest rate a little bit, but that is fully negotiable from the property owner and the private PACE lender.
Now, I read somewhere where the contractors are vendors that you approve of. Is that correct?
So the word approval, so we make sure that the contractors are licensed and, fully insured contractors. The property owner is the one selecting the private contractor, but we want to make sure that the contractor is a licensed, insured contractor.
Because I thought I seen on your website where it was a list of your contractors that you approved.
Well,
And I just
again,
want to make sure that it's open to, if that's the case, that there's an avenue for our local
absolutely. Yep.
businesses
And that's what
to
we
apply
prefer.
to be a
We
contractor.
prefer the local contractor, be involved. And that would be another thing I would tell you is that, if this were to move forward and the ordinance were to be passed, we would actually set up some, training, learning workshops for the local community, including the contractors, so they kind of fully understand what this is as well. Because they can certainly, benefit.
Because I just thought that was weird that, the way it sits right now, it shows that only your contractors
Yeah,
can do the
no,
work.
it's, I appreciate the feedback, because we will kind of take a second read of the website, which, the website's been there since 2015, but that's not at all what that is saying. It is, again, approved contractors just means that we have made sure that they are a licensed and insured contractor.
Now, I know the ordinance, and I went back through and read the ordinance Saturday, and I understand that portion. Did I read somewhere where you guys have only been in business since 2020?
No, that's not correct.
So you guys have been doing this since 2015?
Yeah, so you're a good researcher. So to tell you technically and legally, so the Energize Kentucky entity did start in 2015, and at that time, and I've been involved since the very beginning of 2015. Actually, just as a quick side, I mentioned Ohio. So we have a Lexington office, and we also have a Northern Kentucky office. And so we actually have been doing PACE as a program administrator in the Cincinnati metro market, like starting in 2013, 2014. And so I tell you that to say that both of those entities, so the sister entity is Ohio PACE, and actually at the beginning of last year, I'm not sure if I said it earlier, but if I did, forgive me, but Tennessee was actually one of the more recent states that passed legislation a couple years ago. And so I actually do manage a third entity called simply Tennessee PACE as a program administration entity. But with regards to the Ohio and the Kentucky, Energize Kentucky, we actually created those from a nonprofit organization that was called the Greater Cincinnati Energy Alliance. That nonprofit organization was actually heavily grant funded from the Federal Department of Energy, and those grant funds were exhausted in 2020. And so in 2020, there was a law firm called Bricker Graydon, kind of a Northern Kentucky law firm, that purchased the Energize Kentucky entity. So if you saw it 2020, that's what that is in reference to. But we were doing, it's been doing the same thing. It just kind of switched from a legal perspective. But
One of the other
same
things
thing.
I did was go on the Kentucky Secretary of State's website to look up your business name.
Yes.
I didn't see any active listing on that site for, business entity? Do you have to
Yeah,
register in Kentucky?
Yes, so definitely can send that to you. So the legal entity name of Energize Kentucky, we are under an entity called Midwest Pace Services LLC, and I can certainly send that to you as well. But that is also where we have the Ohio, the Kentucky, and the Tennessee PACE entities that I just described to you.
Now, according to what also I read, you fall underneath a attorney, and according to the possible resolution and stuff that I read, that anything that has to do with your company must go through that attorney, correct?
I wouldn't say must. Yeah, I don't recall the must language in there, because as you've kind of seen, this is a real specialized, legal, the special assessment financing. We want to make sure that we have, very good legal counsel that's overseeing all this, that does work with the PACE lenders that are out there in the market, and that's just who our relationship is. But if the PACE lender, wanted to work with someone else, they could do that. But
Now, would that, I know we've done other programs before, especially like the ARPA money, where that attorney actually billed the county. Would that happen with this
that's not at all. Again, the property owner is the one who pays 100% of the cost to participate in the program. Yeah, there's never a cost to the county.
Bear with me just a second
Sure.
here. So, with you being the only company out there that's doing it, first of all, what fees do you charge the business that is going to be doing the financing? Because I'm sure you have fees that has to be recouped.
Oh, we do,
What
yeah.
is your-
I don't work for free.
Do you have a percentage, or how does that
Yeah.
work?
So we do charge a 1% fee. That is, part, and again, that is part of the closing fee, and we only get a fee if there is a project that does close.
So you
that's,
basically, it's a closing fee, but after that, you have no involvement in it?
well,
yeah,
we're still your hired program administrator, again, at no
So-
cost. There's no, ongoing cost to
So
you
you'll
as the county.
still work with these commercial entities if there's a problem that
That is
arises throughout this program?
That is correct. Oh, yeah.
At no
Yeah.
additional cost to them?
No. And I would also add, that's kind of a good question there with regards to kind of the ongoing, involvement, is that, I don't think he's here today, but, Chris Girdler, I've spoken with him, and so we are very active in the economic development, arena, so like, the Kentucky Association Economic Development. But I would tell you that, you should ask Chris. The economic development professionals are very, positive about PACE financing, because it does help, some of those development deals. But
So what
so my point, I just want to make sure. My point is, I definitely will stay in touch with Chris, and he
We
knows
do.
as well how to, reach out if there is potential for PACE to be a positive in any of the developments.
What happens at one point if your company decides no longer to be an administrator for this program? Where does that leave the county? Because like you said, you're the only company that's out there doing this. So
Yeah.
what happens to the program? Does it just end?
Yeah. So if that were to be the case, but I can stand here in front of you and say that, I'm relatively young and hope to be doing this for another 20 years. And so, hopefully that would be the time that, we would have the actual conversation, but, we would continue to hire staff. I mean, this is something that we have, grown from a company, perspective, and will continue to grow. But I think the chance that we would go away is extremely low. But if that were the scenario, I would tell you that there are other program administrators in other states. They may be willing to look in if you were wanting to kind of assign the administrative duties to, someone else. But again, it's an extremely, extremely low possibility.
Okay. And you didn't mention it, but the fees that the county would occur, that the lender and the commercial business that would be the fees from the sheriff's department, the clerk's office, the
Yeah.
PVA office,
Yep. So.
and
Yep, so digging into the details and the way that we actually have the program set up is that we, as Energize Kentucky and as the program administrator, if you were to assign us as the program administrator, we actually take the responsibility of billing and collecting the special assessment and remitting it back to the PACE lender. So there really is no administrative duties of the county, and that's by design.
and then actually every project has to be approved through this court, correct?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, so every project will have to come back in front of, the court. And just like, we've done up to this point, when there is, I'll call it a real interest. So what happens is that we have a property owner who wants to use it. Generally, they will find themselves to me, and I have generally a phone conversation to make sure that they have an eligible, project. And if they do, then that is generally when I would reach out, whoever ends up being my kind of point contact here, I would reach out and just say, hey, I've got, ABC business at 123 Elm. Is there a reason why you wouldn't approve them for whatever reason?
But we would still have to physically vote to approve this, right?
Correct, yeah, but, and then from that point, there is quite a bit of underwriting, just like a traditional loan, so there's a lot of underwriting, goes forward, but we wouldn't want to get to the point where we would literally come back in front of, the court, for approval, if you really, for example, it's happened once, maybe twice, where we have had the scenario where a property owner had some zoning violations, and the local government told us, make sure, we want to make sure that the zoning violations are cleared up before we would approve the project. That's the reason we provide that kind of, notice very up front, early.
And why does fiscal court have to approve a project?
Yeah, because they're approving the special assessment, at a very high level, they're approving the special assessment request.
I understand, but that's because you want to put it on a tax bill, right?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah. So
I mean,
the courts really has no
so
role
this
in
whole
any
thing
of
is a
this.
pass-through
It's a
assessment.
pass-through.
It's a complete pass-through assessment is
Exactly.
really what this is.
Court has nothing to do with these contracts and all the private entities who want to do this, and it's just a special assessment that's approved by the court, that's put on the tax bill, and it's collected, but it is collected through the sheriff's department, correct?
No, so we as Energize Kentucky will collect this special assessment, just to minimize
But
again.
if it's on the tax bill, everybody goes to the sheriff's office to pay their tax bill.
That's right. So this is recorded, so it definitely gets recorded on the property, right, as a special assessment. And, and then from there, again, we were just assigned as the special, for this PACE EPAD special assessment, we are just assigned in the administrative agreements to be the billing and collection agent, just so, again, there's no, the request over, the past, 5, 6, 7 years of the local governments have been, we really don't want any administrative duties to this, and so we even take that administrative duty. What we do then is actually then provide a reconciliation in January of every year of, the special assessments that are being collected and
My
paid.
concern is if it's on the county tax bill,
Well, legally and better is it's on the property's tax record, but it's not actually on the physical bill that goes out. We bill it separately.
Yeah, when I glanced through this, I thought it looked like it was placed on the county tax bill.
That's what I thought. I thought they pay the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Sheriff's office gets their fee from it, and then forwards the money to you.
Because if they're not doing that, we're not really a pass-through. We're nothing. The county's nothing.
Yeah. Well, you are. Yeah, you are. Again, we've done this in multiple counties. If the preference, in this case, if you'd like the sheriff to actually bill it and collect it and then, remit it back, then that's completely fine, yeah.
But how's it, typically a pass-through that I've always dealt with, and this court's always dealt with, is the money comes through the county and passes through the county, then on to an entity. And so you referred to it as a pass-through,
Yep.
but it doesn't really sound like it is a pass-through. It's just,
No, they receive a separate bill from them. It's
right.
not on
Yes,
the tax
the
bill.
county doesn't deal with any dollars from any of this.
That is correct.
So
That is correct.
I was just trying to
The
figure out,
other-
why would the sheriff, and it's in the KRS and everything, why are they part of this KRS and part of the resolution and the ordinance if they're not the one collecting the money
Yeah.
and then turning it over to you or the bank or whatever?
I can tell you why. Because they get paid to collect money. The PVA gets paid, the sheriff gets paid, and they don't want to pay anybody to collect money, so they're the.
Oh, well, that's not, that is not the case whatsoever. Like I said, it has just been requested of us almost in every case.
But you're gonna have to pay them to collect your money for you. They get paid to
Yeah.
collect money, so you don't
Yeah.
want to pay them, do you?
Oh, we can, yeah. No, like I said, this is completely, if you
$40
wanted
million,
to.
you wouldn't mind getting some money out of that, would you, Bob?
Because at the point where if they're not paying, it goes through, with the assessment, it goes through the government as far as delinquency, and then it has to be put out for, am I right? Does it have to be put out for auction?
So it would go on the tax lien sale. Yeah, the normal, if this were to go on a delinquency, it would, it's legally recorded. So just to make sure we're talking about two separate things here, it is legally recorded, legally binding as far as if it is a delinquency to go on the normal tax lien foreclosure sale. The collection, annual billing collection is a different, really category. But yeah, all the legal.
But if
is
we have
there.
to do all that stuff, then why wouldn't the payment go through the sheriff's office? The sheriff takes his
Yeah.
fee, and then
Yeah.
why wouldn't that take place?
Yeah, so, on the delinquency side, if there was a delinquency in tax sale, yeah, all of those fees, whatever, county attorney's fees are, able to be collected, that would happen as it normally happens. On the normal then annual property tax, collection system, again, we have just proposed the way that it's been asked of us here over the last 7 or 8 years is, we've had actually multiple law firms, not even the one we currently, work with, is that, whether it be a county government and a city government, the special assessment, since you're authorizing it, you actually have the authority to collect it yourselves. Most don't. Most, it's just, obviously the system has been set up since the beginning of, government time here, but you do have the legal authority to actually collect special assessments. There are counties that actually do it in some other capacity with regards to, again, kind of the special assessment category, and that's where, we are, talking
Well,
about
that's
this.
what I
But
was
again,
wondering
if you
why.
want, if you want the sheriff to collect it, that is fine. I would also offer, in addition to just reducing the administrative burden, which again has been, asked of us, we only charge $500 flat fee to do that. And that does reduce the cost for the property owner as well.
So
But again,
there's more fees after the 1% that you're going to be charging.
just that $500 on the billing and collection, yeah.
I guess that'd be to call the sheriff whether he wants some extra money or not. But I'm just saying in the KRS, it has a sheriff involved all through this whole process.
Yeah, and if you read in there, and like I said, I'm,
It doesn't-
so if I didn't say it earlier, I'm not an attorney. I've been doing this now 10 years. Again, we started on the Ohio side of the river, but I've been doing it 10 years and have sat through many legal, explanations, and we've had at least 3 separate legal counsels look at this one item, and their interpretation in there on the EPAT Act is where it does say this would be, billed in the normal, course of, billing. Their interpretation is, again, because counties and cities can collect their own special assessments. It doesn't have to run through the sheriffs, but that's where their interpretation came.
Well,
from
and this
people.
comes back to the part where God forbid, never happens, but if some reason you go bankrupt or you leave, what happens? So
Yeah.
that comes back to the fact that all that responsibility is going to be on the county. Because according to the ordinance, the county is the ultimate administrator of this.
That is
Now,
correct.
we have,
Yep.
you're going to be a third-party administrator. We're hiring you to handle this program. But if something goes wrong and your company's not able to fulfill your obligations, it falls back on the county. And then if it falls back on the county, how do we maintain it? So it might be an idea that the county might want to look into us from the get-go collecting that payment and processing it, so.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with my questions.
All right. Yeah,
Any other-
appreciate it. No, those are really good ones.
Any other discussion? Thank you for your presentation. We'll take this under consideration and probably have you back for a first reading of an ordinance if we decide to go that direction. Thank you.
Okay, all right, very good. And then my information is on, all of that materials that you have. Feel free to reach out directly. That number, rings right into me. So be happy to have conversations.
Could somebody email me this packet in Word format?
That's
That's
the
what
email
you
you
gave
sent to me.
the judge. Can
The
somebody?
resolution and the
Yes.
working agreement?
Yeah,
Can somebody email me that in Word format?
yes, yeah, we'll do.
I'll get you my card before you leave.
Okay. Well, so my email, on the back of that here, let me do this.
I'll just shoot you an email then. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again, appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next item is not on the agenda, but have been approached by Mount Victory, their substation at Poplarville. They're in process of buying 2 lots, and our county attorney has worked with them.
Yeah, and it's 2 lots that adjoin the substation. They've reached an agreement with the property owners. I think it's $10,000 for 1 lot, and they're donating the other lot. We had it surveyed, and I had a title search done on it, and prepared a deed, and just need the court to approve that transfer.
Motion to approve it. Second.
Mr. Strunk makes the motion to approve, and Mr. Turpin seconds. Any discussion on it?
Yeah, since I'm on that fire department, do I need to sustain my vote? Okay,
No, are you for it?
yeah,
Okay.
so I just,
Yeah, no, you're good.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to old business. Cloyd, would you present briefly the pest control rebid?
Thank you. Fiscal Court, I would ask that that we rebid the pest control. There are some buildings that we need to add to the formal request, and I'm just asking you to rebid it after we add those buildings.
motion to rebid.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion to rebid. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Turpin seconds. Any discussion?
What's the bid I have here, seal bid?
That is one that Frank Hasser is overseeing.
That's on-
He'll address that in a minute.
Oh, I thought it was on pest control, okay.
Have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion on the rebid? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Department reports, emergency management. Don, do you have anything?
Morning, Court. This won't be near as complicated as the previous, I hope. I handed out a copy of the 2025-2029 Pulaski County Comprehensive Plan Development Process. This is just for your consideration. We are required as a county through KRS 100 to have this. I used to work for the Lake Cumberland Area Development District, and one of the things I did was planning. And I've got copies of 119 comprehensive plans and cannot find Pulaski counties anywhere. So if anybody knows where a copy would be, that would be wonderful. But in the meantime, we are going to have to play a little bit of catch-up, get this thing done. As most of you know, we had our first Disaster Emergency Services Organization meeting at the end of January. And we've got about 60, 65 folks from responders to elected officials, private sector, public sector, and just citizens at large that are part of that, because we want to have a very thorough idea of what their expectations are, what they would like to see done through various perspectives. And so I think we've got some good things that are going to be coming through that. This is basically here an outline of the things that are needed in this plan as I see them. These are not all my ideas. I've stole this from anybody that had a good idea. There's a whole lot of people out there a lot smarter than I am. And so I've put this together. It doesn't mean it can't be changed, that we can't add to it, take away from it, whatever we need to do. But this is going to be a county-wide project, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Probably one of the most important things is there under Chapter 1, Number 6, vision statement. And what we mean by vision statement is we need to change our paradigm in the county rather from being reactive to proactive. We talk about what we need right now. What are we going to need in 5 years? What are we going to need in 10 years? So this is going to be a long-term project. Again, required by statute. Even if it wasn't, I think it's an excellent idea that we have this. Just things as recently as the expansion of I-66. How's that going to change things? You know, what improvements are we going to have to make? How are we going to take care of that, maintain it, police it, whatever we need to do? So we need to start thinking toward the future as opposed to the here and now. So take some time, look this over. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. If you think we need to make some changes on that, it's wide open. I mean, it's a county project. It's not my project. So, but we've got to look at it from a prevention, protection, mitigation, response, recovery standpoint. Trying to put together the plan as far as core capabilities from all response agencies, from hospitals, from tow truck drivers to everything else. So, but this is what we're going to be doing through the DES organization over the next few years anyway, I expect. And if you want to be part of that, I would certainly welcome your help. So does anybody have any questions? Very good, thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Next department would be fleet maintenance, or the jail. Excuse me.
Good morning. I just need a request to bid for a new transport van. Since we are getting ready to surplus those other two, I need one to replace it.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Mr. Wilson and second by Strunk. Mr. Strunk. Any discussion?
Yeah, would this be paid for through commissary money or county budget?
We can use your road funds if you want, or use your road funds. No, it'll be paid through commissary.
I vote no.
It'll be paid through commissary.
Any more discussion? Have a motion on the floor to bid for a transport van. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Next will be fleet maintenance with Mr. Frank. He's got the bid open.
Yeah, I saw that.
Good morning. We can open that bid now.
Yeah, we're opening it now?
Yep.
Don Franklin Auto. Lease buyout bid, looks like it's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different vehicles for $221,067.31.
221 what?
221,067.31.
There's 8 of them?
Mm-hmm. They range from, looks like the most expensive is a Ram 4500 for $36,561.24. And the least expensive, looks like there's a couple of 3500s for $24,372.92.
I make a motion, we approve it for review.
Have a motion on the floor from Mr. Renshaw for review. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Turpin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Then I would like to take Joey Vaughn from full-time status to part-time status.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Renshaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turpin. Any discussion?
The reason why is he has another job,
Yeah.
right? But we want to keep him on as part-time.
That's right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I have another request. I had a call this morning. Is there a position open in the road department?
In the road department,
I mean, in the fleet department, sorry.
I mean, if I get to hire Joey's full-time position back, there will be.
Yeah. Somebody called me this morning. I told them to come see you.
Yep. I got a call this
I
morning.
don't know where you're at on that, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. 911, Ms. Beverly?
Good morning. I've got a few things today. I'm requesting to fill a position that is vacant right now of supervisor on night shift. It was an in-house promotion, and I'm requesting to give that position for shift supervisor and assistant tac to Anna Meese.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Strunk. Any discussion?
Yeah, we've talked about this. You did offer it to everybody.
It was open for everybody to interview the whole month of January.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I am requesting to hire Samantha Burdine. She's a former full-time employee. She's wanting to come back part-time, hopefully with the potential of going full-time at a later date. If I can do that, I'd like to get her started back part-time on the 19th of this month.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Mr. Renshaw. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And I'm going to ask for permission to advertise for some vacancies that we have. We've had another one that has left for different reasons. She's seeking a different type of occupation. I have potentially 3 full-time openings right now. We want to advertise to hire and start the interview process on that.
Motion to advertise.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion, Mr. Turpin seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
And last time I was here, we tabled the 911 personnel policy.
I make a motion, we approve the personnel policy.
Second.
Mr. Mr. Renshaw makes a motion to approve personnel policy, and Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Beverly.
Oh, and tomorrow is the anniversary of 911 starting in Pulaski County, 1990. So it's 34 years old tomorrow.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Or happy anniversary, I
Yeah,
guess.
anniversary. Next item would be county clerk.
2 minutes, Mark.
I'll just leave then. I can't even get this out to y'all in 2 minutes. I don't have enough there.
30 seconds left.
In November of 2020, the state of Kentucky had 3,692 precincts. In December of 2023, that number had been reduced to 3,560. This month, January, the number's been reduced from 3,335. Pulaski County in the last month has went from 56 precincts to 19. We just sit there and got rid of them. I mean, we were having a lot of precincts, and as you can see on the last 3 pages, like this right here, we had 56, and now the last page has 19. We've got four precincts in the first district. We've got 5 in the second. The third has got 3. The fourth has got 2, and the fifth has got 4. We could not make changes to the library, Firebrook, Eubank, Essensburg, Dallas, Burnside East, and Stones Valley, so they're still as they were before. But a lot of these, we consolidated the precincts, like Pulaski South was Burnside County, West Burnside County, the 2 Bronstons, and Gamblin. So now it's got 6,792 people before. I don't know, there was 1, 2, I put the Burnside cities in there as well, didn't I? Huh. Burnside City, Burnside County. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I took 6 precincts and made 1. So that's like in the first, where Pulaski West, everything west of the bridge is now one big precinct. We've combined Okolona, Naomi East, Naomi West, Harrison, and Nancy into one precinct. Northwest, we combined Fall Branch, Hickory Nut, Ansel, and Garland in one big precinct. Like, so we did this so in November 2020, the primary 2020, we had 168 different ballots we had to sit there and provide each one. This reduces the number down to, we'll probably have around 50 ballots in this election. So we've reduced the number drastically. Perfect example is out at Shottville, where before we had, in Shottville we had Mount Victory, we had Mark, Mayfield, Mount Victory, Colo, all voting out there. Had 4 different ballots for those. Now we've got 1. In fact, I've got the Pulaski East was the easiest one to do because they all had 1 ballot face. I mean, they all had the same thing. So by consolidating these, we're able to sit there and reduce the number of ballots we need, or the number of ballot faces, actual ballot types that we need, and therefore we should be able to reduce the number of ballots as well. Make it easier on the voters. It will not change anything on the voter standpoint. It will not change anything on the candidate standpoint. The only thing it will do is make the county clerk's job a little bit easier to do, because we'll have as many ballots to maintain and take care of and distribute, and we're just reducing the number. So
in theory. It should make the voting go a little bit faster. This is gonna cost the county about $10,000 in monies that the state reimburses us, but maybe we'll get it back in cost to fix all this up. Nothing will change. We'll still have the same number of ballot places. Still have the same number of people working, manning the ballots. Like I said, it should be just a little bit easier because there won't be as many choices when they get to when the person walks up and, instead of having to say D102, D103, or D104, they say D102 and go on. I mean, as soon as they walk into Shottville out there, they've got two choices. They either vote in Dallas or they vote in the 4th district, and, it just makes it that much easier.
Is this a program that the state is recommending us to?
Nope.
No, this is just your program.
I mean, like I said, they reduced the number of other counties that sit there voluntarily, reduced the numbers from 3,692 in November to 3,335 in this time frame right now. So people are seeing with this new equipment and the poll pads, it's easier to sit there and maintain. We can maintain smaller numbers now.
How is the process, if it's consolidating, then how is it costing us more money?
We're not the county reimburses $255 per precinct.
Uh-huh.
So we've lost 27 precincts, 56 to 19. We lost 27 precincts, so 27 times $255, that's about $10,000. We've gone from about $14,000 in reimbursement funds to about $4,600, something like that in reimbursement funds. So we've lost $10,000 from the state that they're paying us back to run elections.
So the state is going to pay us back for this money?
No, we're losing that money.
We're losing that money.
The last time I was here, we got a check for $14,000 that day. Now, at the end of the election, that check will be reduced down to about $4,600, 19 times 255, whatever that is.
And do you know why they're giving us less money?
Because we have less precincts.
Because we have less precincts.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it benefit us in the long run to keep the precincts the way they are?
No.
The expenses per precinct will still be the same if you keep the ones
We're
that
just
you got.
We're just reducing the clerk. Like I said, in your out there at Shottville.
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes from
So-
14 to 50.
I've got 6. In the old style, I had 6 precincts out there.
Uh-huh.
4 of them were in the 4th district, and every one of those ballot faces was exactly the same. The only thing different was there's a little number up on top. It said D103, D104, D105, whatever. So now it just says D102. And you go to that one, and you go clear down to Mount Victory, not Mount Victory, but Parker out there. Parker has the same ballot faces out there. So now, I mean, if they're voting the same ballot face at Parker as they are at Shottville now. I mean, we just sitting there consolidating all these precincts together, so we're getting rid of like 8 precincts into one. So you had like 14 precincts before, and now you've got 2. So we're reducing the need. I mean, we're not reducing the ballot faces. We still going to have 41 ballot faces in 2026. But we're reducing the number of ballots. Like I said, in 2020, we had to have 190, we had to have 56 plus 13, so we had 68. I think it's 68 times 3, which is 192 or something like that. We had to have 192 different ballots at every voting center because that's how many different styles there were. There's the first A101 has 3. A101's got 3. They got a Republican, a Democrat, and an Independent. And then they had to have the non-city voters got 1 too. So some of them had as many as 5 because you had the Republican non-city voters, you had the Republican Democrat non-city voters, then you had the Independent So we may have had as many as 6 ballot styles. So now A101 is with A102 and A108. So instead of having 6 there, and 3 here and 3 here, which is 12, now I've got 6. I've reduced the number in half.
So by doing this, we're not, you say it's costing us $10,000, but we're reducing the number of poll workers, right?
No, we're not reducing nothing. We're not reducing nothing on the poll worker side. We're just reducing the number of ballots that we have on staff. Like I said, where we had 10,000 pieces of paper. We still may have 10,000 pieces of paper, but we may be able to reduce that down to like 9,000 pieces of ballots because, instead of having 80% of this, 80% of that, 80% of that, 1,000, 3,000, so that's 2,400. We may be able to reduce it down to 70%, 2,100, because if they run out of this one, before they had to run out of this one, they couldn't use these two. But now they can just use the same ballot all face, so we can reduce the actual number.
So by reducing these positions, we're actually losing money
Precincts.
from the state.
Yes.
So it's just an extra expense for the county of $10,000. I'm just trying to get it.
It's complicated. Like I said,
Yeah.
and in theory,
I mean, that's all I wanted to know was,
we may be reducing our cost in the administrative, on the HARP side, where they sit there and they charge us $27,000 per election. The base of it is just, because we got 56 precincts. I don't know if that's $500 per precinct or what. Like I said, there may be a reduction in the cost of that fee right there where it may recoup it. We may not. Like I said, but on the long run, by reducing the number of ballots that we need, we're reducing the time at the ballot, so we're reducing the time spent by the voter at the precincts, what we're hoping to do.
When does this need to be done by?
It's already been taken care of.
you're just informing us that
Yes.
we're losing $10,000.
Well, I'm just informing you that the county clerk has a responsibility for maintaining the precincts. Actually, the Board of Election does. Like I said, and we submitted this on the 27th of November, and we got it approved sometime in the late January. Like I said, and this is the first time that we've told anybody about it, and we just telling you now that, here's what we did. I told y'all, from the word go, so my aim is to reduce the number of precincts because it'll make it easier on us, the clerk's office, in the management of the election. And I told you that in May when we did the realignment. I said my ultimate goal is to reduce the number of precincts. Like I said, it started out, I was going to sit there, my first thing, I started out on the Pulaski West. I was going to sit there and get rid of, combine the two Naomis, because Naomi West and Naomi East were, one's in the 52nd, one's in the 85th. Is that right?
Yeah, I know.
83rd wasn't it? It was
Me and
Branson's
my
out
wife
there.
lived under the same, in the same
So anyway, like I
house.
said-
One was on one, and one was
Yeah, like I
on
said, we
the
had
other.
250 people here and 300 people here, or something like that. So, like I said, Naomi had 248, and Naomi West had 342. And the only thing that's different is the one was in, like I said, the 83rd, and the other one's in the 52nd. So when they realigned the state and did all the realignment, and gave us part of the 71st, they put those two back in the 83rd together. And when they did, I said, well, I'll combine them together, make one nice little precinct, with 690 people. I got to add them up, and I said, well, I can put Oklahoma in there too. I just kept on going. Next thing you know, I've got Pulaski West with 3,300 people. And I got out to you, and like I said, me and Barker talked about it, and he said, no, I said, you can't, only combine these two and these two together. So I started combining, I said, well, it ain't gonna be that bad, so I combined those four. Next thing you know, I've got the entire western part of the, eastern part of the county in one precinct. So,
Thank you.
Do we need to wait till the end of you have your meeting at the end of the month?
For what?
Before we decide on this? Or
you don't get to decide nothing.
We don't
We've done
decide
it.
anything.
Oh, you've already done it?
It's done, it's complete. Like I said, we've got approval, and there's nothing, we're just telling you as a courtesy, here's what we did, here's why we did it.
Thank you.
Let me add to this. We're talking about losing $10,000. We don't know the real number because of the savings that's going to be on the other side. This is new to us, so it's not an actual $10,000 loss. We can't give you a number yet because we don't know exactly how much we're going to be saving through our cost of other parts of the election by doing this, okay? So it's not just like the county's losing $10,000. It will, we don't know the exact number, but it will save the county money in the long run, for sure. But for right now, we don't have an actual dollar amount to tell you, okay, we're saving $7,000 on the election this time.
And I done talked to Harp and asked him about that number, and he said, we don't know. We won't know until we sit there and actually run the process. We don't know if it's gonna cost more, cost less, or what. Every time you sit there and put a race on there, like the school board, Science Hill School Board cost me $500 to put it on the ballot. The city of Somerset cost me $2,500 because they're so complex. You know, every time you put a Division I, $500. City, $1,200. So, you know, everything adds up. Every time they had to do a line item on the ballot, you know, for those people to appear, it cost X amount of dollars. So, you know, their base fee is $27,000. You know, and by the time you sit there and start adding these up here, you know, they may get X amount of dollars. So, again, this should reduce the number because we reduce the number of actual ballots. You know, before they had to sit there and do 56 different precincts. So they had to sit there and design 56 different ballots. Like I said, and every ballot has a Republican and a Democrat. Like I said, that's where we get into the faces. You know, we've got 5 cities, we've got 5 state legislative boundaries, we got 3 school boards with 5 different possibilities. So we've got 7 actual different school boards, you know, you can be in. You can be in Science Hill, Somerset, PC1, PC2, PC3, PC4, PC5. Then when you throw in the magistrate district, which is 5, so you've got something like 225 different possible faces. So we're lucky and only have 41. Mike's got the most cities. He's got Eubank, Science Hill, and Somerset in his district. You've got 2. You've got Burnside and Somerset. You've got Ferguson and Somerset. He just got Somerset. Nancy's not incorporated yet. So, you know, so every time you sit there and add a city, you add a face. Like I said, and the cities run, you know, and when you put in a nonpartisan race like we had in 2020 when the judges ran, you know, we had to have a whole column. We had to have another 56 different ballots because the judges run nonpartisan. Like I said, so you know, every time you add one, you know, add a potential thing, it just gets complicated, and the ballot gets more complicated, and we had to have more ballot faces. Like I said, we had 192 is what I think the number was in 2020. That's before we had printers, so, you know, I like to tell. Out there at Dallas, I've got 6 independents. You know, and I had to have a ballot for every one of those 6 independents. You know, so they say, well, that's easy, you know, order 50 ballots. You know, they come in sheets of 50. So, you know, that's, you know, you got plenty left over. Well, each one of those 6 has 3 chances, so that's 18 ballots. So I've got 4 different voting places. 18 times 4, that's 72. I can only order them in things of 50, so I had to order 200 ballots for those 6 people. With the printers, I was able to sit there and do away with that. I said, I can print on demand now. So now, unfortunately, Dallas is still there, so I still got to sit there and worry about them 6 people out there that vote independent in Dallas. Like I said, but now, all my Democrats and all my Republicans in the 4th, you know, instead of having 1 in Mayfield, 1 in Mount Victory, 1 in Colo, 1 in Mark, I just got 2 ballot faces, 1 for Republicans and 1 for Democrats. Instead of having 8, now I've got 4. So like I said, it will reduce the number, because before, where I said if I had, like, I know I was going to have to vote 3,200 people, I didn't know how I was going to vote the 3,200 people. You know, so I had to order 80% of each one of those ballots. Now, I've got 1 failed number, so I said, well, before, well, I didn't have a spare, I can sit there and reduce that number to 70 or 60%, or if my printers, I can reduce the number down to 40%, and let the printers take care of the rest. So it will save us money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to shut up, huh? Leave. Any other questions? Thank you all.
Moving to the road department, ask for a motion for a 1,500 ton of blacktop patch.
Motion.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion, Mr. Wilson seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We need a motion for a 3,000 ton of rock.
Motion.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Road lists are in front of you. I need a motion to approve road list. I don't see any speed limit on it.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Renshaw, a second by Mr. Turpin. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving to finance, Carissa.
I've just got the bill list I'm looking for approval on.
Motion.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion on the bill list. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the bill list? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We're now at citizens' comments. Do we have citizens that would like to comment? We can get Mark out of the picture. Blocking the camera.
I'm sorry, I give you bad side?
Yes, definitely.
You got a camera up there? You got a video monitor?
Glad to have Miss Brenda here.
Are you
Give
going to
us a
limit
good
me to 2
report.
minutes?
You're fine.
That's the equivalent of 2 minutes. I'm good.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I am Brenda Russell with God's Food Pantry, and I just wanted to stop by and chat with you for just a couple minutes this morning about what's going on at God's Food Pantry. First, I want to thank you always for keeping us in your budget. I hope that this next budget cycle around, you'll remember that we're still here and we're still doing good in our community. We are celebrating 42 years this year of continuous service to Pulaski County, which I think is a feat in itself. I can't take credit for that 42 years. I've only been there for the last 10, but we've done a whole lot in the last 10 years. To grow the number of service visits and the ability to serve Pulaski County. And I'm not tooting my horn, but I'm tooting the horn of all of those that came before me in saying that we do have the largest serving food pantry here in Pulaski County in the lower south central 50 counties of Kentucky. This is the largest serving pantry, and we're blessed to have that here in Pulaski County. There's a whole lot of counties out there that only have pantries that serve 1 or 2 days a month, and when they serve that 1 or 2 days a month, they only serve for 1 or 2 hours. So when you think that you've got a food pantry right here in Pulaski County that's been serving continuously, that's open 5 days a week for 5.5 hours a day, 4.5 hours a day, 10 to 2:30, 4.5 hours a day. That's a pretty great thing to be able to take care of our residents here. So with that said, we're coming up, I know that it's only February, but we're already starting to think about summer feeding for the kids who are out of school. For the last 10 years, I'm going to tell you, the first couple years I was in a sheer panic, not realizing that that's how food pantries work. But all of the food drives happen in November and December, and by the time we get to summer feeding, our shelves are empty again. And when do we need to feed the most? It's during the summer when the kids are out of school. And I know from experience that while the kids are out of school this year, between whenever they end in May and whenever they start in August, we'll serve somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 families in that time period. And it's a really hard thing to do on empty shelves. So I have determined that this year we're going to try something new. So if you've been on Facebook at all, or even if you haven't, I hope you've already heard that we are kicking off an event called Candemonium. And we are asking churches, schools, school groups, civic groups, families to get together and form a team and do a food drive for God's Food Pantry. And what's unique about this is you'll have a month to do your food drive, and then you will take those cans and you will build an art structure out of those cans based on the theme that everyone can be a hero. Now, whoever your hero is for your group, whether it's your first responders, your medical personnel, your pastor, your teachers, your truck drivers, who is it that you admire and respect in your community that you want to pay homage to is who you're going to build your structure about. There's going to be all kinds of fun prizes, including Judge's Choice and People's Choice. The People's Choice, your structure will go online and be in a voting contest for the People's Choice Award. Of course, it will cost to vote. And at the end of the competition, we'll announce the winners, which is really just bragging rights in the end of it, because the real winner is the families that we're serving. But at the end of this, God's Food Pantry will get all of the canned food that was collected to build these structures. We've now got an event where people can take their families around to see these artworks built out of cans, and we'll be able to get the donations that were done for the funding in order to purchase more as we need them. But what it really ends up doing is feeding those children while they're out of school. So if you guys can build structures, that's great. If you can't, even you can be a hero by sharing this information and encouraging somebody else to do it. I do have some packets with me today if anybody wants them. I do have it online. We've got a Facebook page, or Facebook group called Candemonium. And you're certainly welcome to go there. The application is downloadable there. But there's going to be some, if you haven't been on Facebook, the challenges have already been started to be thrown out there. We call it just talking a little bit of smack. We want to keep it polite and fun, but we do want some of those challenges out there, and we want everybody encouraging each other to work together towards feeding the families and the children here in our community over the summer. So, anybody needs anything, let me know.
Thank you.
I also want to comment on you and congratulate you while you're up there on being named a finalist for Fox 56 Remarkable Women of Central Kentucky.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations on that.
I appreciate that so much, and I'm not quite sure how they choose the winner, but I know that there was a couple hundred applications, and they got it down to 4 finalists. And what happens, as I understand it, is they're going to come in and film a day in the life of what we do here in Pulaski County and what changes or how we're impacting our world. And those will air on Fox 56 through the month of March. They choose a grand prize winner out of those 4, and the grand prize winner goes to Los Angeles to compete for the national title of Next Star's Remarkable Women of America. So that was really exciting, and I didn't have anything to do with the nomination, so it was a really a great honor to be there. So hopefully we'll represent well and represent Pulaski County well through the course of the next month and show some really great things going on in our community. So thank you for that.
Thank you and congratulations. Any other citizens to comment? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Wilson makes a motion and second by Mr. Turpin. We'll stand adjourned.